Our next speaker connects together high-level deals. He's going to share some of those with you. And his background is in systemizing companies. He's taken companies from 70 hours. One individual took his company from 70 hours to 10 hours. Is that good? Is that good? Yeah. Right? How about this one? 55 hours to 15 hours, right? So he's going to talk to you about systems and teams in your app business. How many want to learn about that? Say yes. Yeah. All right. All right, so let's bring up Otto Ruebsamen. That's it, right?
That's all right.
Otto.
You did your best.
All right.
Thank you. So my name's Otto, O-T-T-O. For somebody and everybody in the room, they spell it backwards, which I never really understood, but so goes life. Today we're going to talk a little bit about systemizing your business and about the people you surround yourself with. And I'm really tall, so I don't need to be up here. A lot of my background has to do with taking entrepreneurs from crazy work weeks of 55 to 70 hours a week and cutting that way down, 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week, while increasing efficiency. And at the same, hey everybody at home, how are you? At the same time, the people that you surround yourself with really open up a lot of extra deals that you can do in your life. So over the next few minutes and short time that we have here together, I'm going to give my best to give to you as far as how do you take what you're doing in your business and minimize it down so that you can focus on higher level business growth, strategic alliances, joint ventures, things that will actually grow your business very rapidly and open up other deals. And you know, whenever someone says something to you as far as like, can you do this? The answer is always yes. You know, Dutch talked about this earlier. And if you're not saying yes enough, then you're not getting the opportunities that you could have come to you. And recently I had a $150 million deal come my way. And it came my way and I said yes. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that a little bit later. But so when you're going to systematize your company and what you're doing on your daily actions, you want to write this down. If you can't replace yourself, then you can never sell your business, which is the true asset of your business. If you're the major cog in the wheel, you're the major clog in the wheel. And so the first step in systemizing your company and automating what it is that you do is to write down where your time is going and what you're actually specifically spending your time on. How many of you in this room work a lot? Yeah. I think I see someone back there on a hammock. That's a good job. No, seriously, we as entrepreneurs, we work a lot. We work a lot of hours, and it's because we've got a lot of passion for what we do. And at the same point, that passion can burn us out because we work so much. And there's got to be a fine balance. So when I work with people in streamlining what you do, the first thing you got to do is create what I call a stop doing list. And that's all the activities that are on your plate that don't need to be on your plate anymore. You know, I'll give you a perfect example. If you are, who is it that I was talking to a gentleman at lunch, and he has a challenge with, you know, so much going on, wanting to do everything perfectly, and at the same point, most of the things that he's doing, he doesn't need to be doing himself. That they could all be put off to an assistant or someone like a project manager, and he could focus on growing his business a lot more. But the first thing, you gotta have that list of activities. So once you have that, the second thing you gotta do is, if you already know what your system is and how you do what you do, meaning, somebody give me a specific activity that you do in your business. Prospect? Okay, great. Prospecting. If you're spending your time prospecting, setting up appointments, well, that's something that can easily be set up and outsourced. Like Dutch has a great group of people that just do prospecting for you and set up appointments. And one of the things you can do there is, if you know how you're doing that, then the best thing you can do is write out a little outline or a mind map. If you're familiar with mind mapping, there's a great software program called Mind Manager at mindjet.com, which is excellent stuff. I've mapped out entire businesses with this. You take a list of all the things that you're going to do or that you have for this activity, and then you turn on the recorder and you start recording how you do this. Why is it that you do this activity? What specifically is being done in that activity? What are the actual steps? Like, how do you do it? And then what's the first activity or action that you do to get into this? And when you follow that system, you basically start saying, why is this important to be done? What specifically is being done and how do you do it? Just putting that into an audio recording, you can then drop it off to a transcriptionist, have them transcribe that, and then you have a flow chart, or like a process of how you do what you do. And the more of those processes you have set up in your business, the more it's easy to offset that to other people and take your time involvement down. So in 2005, I worked with a gentleman named Robert Elder. He has the largest Section 8 landlording business in Oklahoma. And I didn't know anything about landlording or real estate or anything like that, but I knew a lot about systems. And to give you a tangible example, this guy spent about 20 hours a week going to all the different sites he owned for as a landlord. And just checking up on things, doing things that weren't really revenue generating, but there were important things that needed to be done. So I created a system for him for how he did that one activity and enabled him to offload that to a guy named Jose who just started running with that specific aspect of his business and kept everything on point. And the same with your business is when you are looking at the activities you do on a consistent daily, weekly basis, the more that you take a look at as far as what does not need to be on your plate, the more you're going to get that off your plate with a system. And to systemize something, it's really easy. You again, write out a mind map or an outline of what you're doing, and then you answer 3 questions. Why is this being done? What specifically is being done? And how do you do it? The steps. And once you do that, you transcribe that, and you have someone clean it up, and you have a full-on standard operating procedure that you can do in your business, and then you can just start handing it off to people, and that system is done. It makes it a heck of a lot faster. So let me give you an idea why that's really valuable. I took a doctor who was working 70 hours a week and just followed that process with him. And in a short period of time, it took him from a 70-hour work week down to 10 hours a week just by implementing systems like this. And that short thing, just it's very simple, yet it's incredibly profound, if you know what I'm saying. So as you're moving along with your business, as you're building your team, you need to systematize things first. And then when someone goes to work with you, you can hand them the system, and you can start hiring people based on their values, who it is they are versus what they know. I mean, how many of you have ever tried hiring someone and found that they weren't the most honest person that you've ever met before? Anybody? Thank you. So if you're hiring someone based on what they know and you're trying to teach them honesty, it doesn't always fit. So by having a system in place, what you're able to start doing is you're able to start enabling your business to grow based on the values that you hold dearly, whether it's honesty, integrity, maybe it's enthusiasm. I like a lot of fun energy in my workplace, so I tend to surround myself with fun people that also go out and get the business done. And as you're moving forward doing that, what you want to do is really isolate the key values that you hold dear for your business, and then hire people first on who it is they are, and then hand them the systems that train them on how to do what's needed to be done. Because then you can start hiring people that, based on the culture that you want to create. And has anyone ever heard of Zappos? Zappos? Okay, that is a business that was firmly built on who they brought into the business, the people. And if you've ever toured Zappos, it's a great tour that's in Las Vegas. I recommend going there. I live in Las Vegas myself, and that's a place where you wouldn't expect there to be such an interesting corporate culture. They have 10 values that they based their business on, and it brought them from nothing to $1 billion in sales in their first 10 years. How many of you think that's pretty useful? Yeah. Great company to model, especially on your values. And as you start getting more in line with the systems and you get that dialed in, you can start really playing with higher level people. I know Dutch went through this very quickly earlier, but there is some seriously powerhouse business people just sitting in the back of the room there. If you guys have a chance, which you do over the next couple days, spend more time with the people back there because they're really, really smart people, and I'm always learning stuff from them. Some of the most connected people on the planet are literally right back there, and it opens up a lot more mentally as well as the people that they know that they can connect you to as well. So Dutch talks a lot about always saying yes. And I had a deal come to me recently where a guy I used to work with, not really for, but he was a coworker and years ago in a company I worked with. And he came to me and said, hey, I've got an opportunity I want you to take a look at. So, okay, it's not like a MLM, is it? He's like, no, it's not. Because, you know, a lot of MLM people are like, yeah, I got this great opportunity, you should check it out. It turned out to be a big development deal that was going on. And this person was looking for financing, and it's for a casino establishment that's going into, that's being put together. And he asked me, hey, I know you know a lot of people, do you know someone that could do financing on this? I was like, well, yeah, I do. And not having a clue who I'd go to, by the way. So I started making some phone calls, and you might want to write this down. If someone brings a big opportunity to you, always say yes. Because maybe you know someone, maybe you don't, but if you at least explore it, you're going to find out a lot faster than you would otherwise. So I spent about a week and a half just calling through some people in my Rolodex, making sure that I started, really connecting and figuring out if someone can do a deal on this level. And lo and behold, I knew a couple different people that could do it. So what ended up happening is I talked to the principal behind this development and talked to him for about an hour, getting to understand him a bit. And at this point, I don't know anything really about developments. I'm just listening, taking notes. And I said, let me, I think I got someone for you. So then I had found someone that I'm pretty sure could do the financing on it, and I just put them together and step back and let them talk. And from doing that, literally a $150 million deal is being put together right now, and it's just because I said yes. So when you have an opportunity, say yes, because those opportunities, when they come and you're able to play on a higher level, what happens is it opens up so much more for your business. And just since then, there's been so many opportunities that have come my way just from saying, yeah, I can do that. And some of the people that are in their spheres of influence, it opens up just much more than you'd ever imagine. So biggest thing I can say here is always say yes to opportunities that come up. And does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Do you mind saying that when you got your outline or your map, what were the 3 questions you asked again?
Great question. The 3 ways that people, or there's actually 4 ways that people learn. And I base systems on how people learn. So about 35% of the population learn by why is it that I'm doing what I'm doing. And so if you're explaining to someone why it is that they're doing what they're doing, then they fully understand it, and then they can actually go and do it. But until they understand why they're doing it, they're just locked up. So the second one is what? What specifically is being done? And about 22% of the population needs to know what's being done kind of theoretically in order for them to move forward in action. And then how-to. This is where you run into a lot of the engineer types where they just need the specific steps. And about 17% of the population, 18% of the population are how-to people, where if you give them the steps, they're totally fine, they can run with it, but they need to know step by step by step because they're very methodical in their thinking. And then the final one is people that fall into what if. They're very action oriented. They just want to know like the general conceptual aspect of it. They're very conceptual based thinkers where they can see in pictures, and so you just give them a directive, go and do this, and they got it. And that's about 25% of the population, but that doesn't create scalability. So you want to give them, why are you doing what you're doing? What specifically are you doing that from a conceptual end? How are the steps that you're going to do this? And then finally, what's the next action to get this process started? And when you follow that model in how you communicate for training people in your business, it gives them a model, and then once you get it done the first time, as far as having it recorded and transcribed, it makes it so much easier because then you can hand it off to someone, and if they don't work out for whatever reason, you don't need to spend 2 weeks or 2 months retraining someone. You can just hand it off to somebody else, and they get it. And they just read it, and they get it, and they keep going with it. Anybody else? Yes?
What's your background? How did you learn all this?
I read a lot. And I spend a lot of time around real high-level business people and very smart people. My friend Johnny right there, she is incredible when it comes to behavioral change, meaning shifting someone's actions from one thing to another, and that is more positive and has a higher long-lasting benefit. And so you've worked with, what, 52,000 people in changing their behaviors? I mean, you want to talk about learning something, take someone who's talked to 52,000 people and create a positive change in their lives. That's someone who you can definitely learn things from. So to answer your question, I surround myself with a lot of really smart people and people that are playing on a very high level, and I read a lot. Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else? Yep.
Wait, hold on.
What's the biggest obstacle you're struggling with right now, or working with right now?
Finding enough time in the day.
Aren't you time management?
That's true. No, it's true. I've got so many good relationships out there that bring things to me, and I'm very good about systemizing things, and yet when you're growing at a very rapid rate, you go through growing pains. So finding the time to make it all happen, that's always a challenge. And the best way to do that is follow my own process, which is every couple of weeks I'm writing out where's my time going, and how much time specifically is going to each of my top 10 business activities that I do. And then who are the new people on my team that I need to bring into my business to offload things to. And you can grow very, very quickly that way, and that does happen. Yeah. Yes?
Quick question. When we met earlier, you spoke about being a connector, and obviously your example is about connecting two people. Huh? How do you develop the relationship with those high players? Because usually when you go out and network and you talk to other people, it seems to me that it's not the same relationship that when I'm talking to the CEO of Fortune 500
Yep.
company. So what is your approach from everything that we have learned and heard today in order to take the next step and reach the higher people from your point of view?
From my experience, I deal with a lot of people in a lot of realms, from private equity spaces to great marketers, to great behavioral change experts, to people like Amy in the back, who she's a crazy good, she has a phone sales office with 30,000 square feet, and they just crush it. But there's a big thing that I've learned is that the more important someone is, the busier they are, the less time they have to deal with, like the hey, how are you type of stage. They're more focused on what's the results that are being done. What are you bringing to the table? Here's what's going on in my business. I don't have time to screw around. I need to really get moving on things, and this is the fires that are going on. And I look to add value first. However I can add value, I'm always listening to what is it they need, what are their challenges, what are their outcomes, what is it that they really want more than anything else that the current people in their lives aren't bringing to them. And so I always, how I've gotten around real high-level people is I've always looked for where is that thing that's missing and what can I bring to the table that will help enhance their lives in some measurable, impactful way. Because if you make them money, that's always top of mind awareness. And yet, if you can do something intangible as well, it creates a real strong bonding effect with higher-level people that just opens up new worlds for you. Yes.
Hi. Where do you find these people to help you in your business? What's a good place to find them?
Networking is one. Not always, though, do I just go by networking. Sometimes I'll pick up the phone and reach out to people directly. So I was speaking with a lady from GE Capital because I wanted to develop more relationships in the private equity space. And so I picked up the phone and just called this person at General Electric Capital, and through building a relationship over the phone, I got invited to a real exclusive and high-level mastermind business setting with a ton of people in the private equity space. And so I showed up to this event and just started meeting people, networking, and met more people that way. And then from there, they introduced me to other people, and I just kind of worked through relationships at that point, and then deals come my way from that. So both networking and both reaching out on the phone. And I've used direct mail as well. That actually works pretty well. Yes.
Question about the systems.
Yep.
Can you give any kind of like general rule that you've come across of things that you should not delegate to others, things that you should keep as?
The checkbook and the marketing.
That's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nothing proprietary that you should, keep behind the curtain.
Well, it depends on the business. If you have a, I can't calculate. I got to be vague on this specific example because I'm under NDA on it and I can't go into details. But there's an intellectual property that a person has, and this specific situation, they do not want it patented because it would not be a good thing because it would be stolen very quickly. And so if you have something that's highly intellectual, as far as intellectual property, and like the Coca-Cola secret formula or something like that, where you want to keep it up here. Or if you have a real high-level process that you don't want to scale, you just want to keep people coming to you for, then don't systematize it. And yet, if you're looking to build a real business that has scalability and is not dependent upon you, then what you want to do is put everything into a system and ultimately get that off your plate. Yep. Yes?
How do you distinguish in looking for a mastermind group or in developing a mastermind group between groups that will use up your time and resources but look good on the surface versus the ones that are real and long-term investments in powerful relationships?
You got to look at the people that you already around and kind of trust your gut at the end of the day, because there's a lot of, like right around you there's great people, and the biggest thing I'd say is go with your gut and trust your intuitive feelings on it, and knowing that you are surrounding yourself with real high level people when you do. Yeah. One more. She'll come to you next.
Yes, would you comment on your direct mail process and the source of your direct mailing list?
Absolutely. Thank you. I use handwritten direct mail because it gets read and it gets responses. I use all kinds of different lists, so the list is somewhat irrelevant as long as it's a quality list. But I use generally.
One time? There we go.
There
that
we
was
go.
my fault. InfoUSA.com is probably the best place to pull lists from anywhere in the country. Any kind of list you can ever think of, InfoUSA.com. They're probably the best list brokerage that exists. Big thing when you pull those lists, keep them small before you go and buy a big, huge list. And exactly what he said, the handwritten, I'll let you keep going with that. But InfoUSA is probably the best list resource in the country.
Handwritten works. It gets a result because everybody expects print these days. When you actually send something that's handwritten, it gets through and it gets read. I did a test mailing a couple weeks ago, about 3.5 weeks ago, to 137 people, and I ended up getting 11 responses out of that. Of those 11, 2 of them weren't really qualified, but I had 9 really solid people. So what's the numbers on that? A pretty good response? Yeah. So handwritten does work very, very effectively. The best response I've gotten so far has been like an 11% response rate off of a handwritten direct mail campaign. And you don't need massive numbers to test if you're getting, that type of a lead flow from it. Once you figure out that it works, then you just start rolling out and opening up more opportunities that way. Yes.
You described that deal that you're helping broker at the moment, that it's 115 million or whatever for the financer and the other guy. I'm just a bit confused. Where's the money in that for you?
By putting the people together, I keep 1% of the transaction. So
okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you do the handwritten message as a pilot group and then do a computer printout for a larger group on the email or direct mail?
It depends on the campaign. I have a source that I use that do handwritten. I just outsource it to them. So you're not going to see me sitting down handwriting a bunch of stuff. If you get a handwritten letter from me, it's probably not my handwriting because I don't have very good handwriting. Yeah, I mean, especially if it's in cursive, that's not me. But yeah, I'll outsource that.
Test. Who wants a good handwritten service for you guys that you don't have to pay for? Okay, upperhandmarketing.com. Upperhandmarketing.com. They'll do the direct mail letters for you guys handwritten, so you don't have to go out and do it yourselves.
And that's who I use. They're very good.
Upperhandmarketing.com. And I think that's who you use, and that's who
exactly
I use.
Who I use.
So I refer that to you, man.
You did. You did.
And I don't get paid on that. I probably should.
You'll speak to a guy named James Kappelman there, who's great person.
James what?
James Kappelman. Capplemann. Capplemann. And I think my time's up, so as I knock this over, good deal. Thank you guys, appreciate it.